Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. Well, I never thought I'd see the day where I'd be buying one of these steampunk locomotives. However, the price was so low it was difficult to say no. Anyway, this is, the brand is actually Bassett Loc, and I didn't know anything about this Bassett Loc. I had to look it up. It was founded in 1898, and there was a guy called Bassett Loc who started the company. It started as a mail order business selling toys, and they got into a little bit of manufacturing, but not too much. So we've got a combination of two brands here. We've got the Bassett Loc. The other part about it was they went bankrupt in 1965 and were bought by Corgi, and then when Hornby bought Corgi in 2008, they acquired this brand, or trademark if you like. And as it says here, steampunk models. When these things first came out, I thought they are absolutely awful. However, I've had a couple of years to digest that thought, and has my opinion changed? Well, not really. But let's have a look at this thing anyway. These were reduced to around £12 in the Black Friday sale, and my original idea was to buy this to get the motor. Because you couldn't get 040 chassis and motors for love nor money. For a big part of this year, they were out of stock. Although this particular one matches up with the chassis motor, matches up with the Caledonian Pug type locomotive, or Smoky Joe, as you would probably know it as. Anyway, let's open it up and have a look. Rogue. Okay, this is to do with this particular model. You can pause that and have a read. It's the backstory to this locomotive, and they've called it Rogue. There's a wee sort of collector card, I suppose you would call that. Yeah. I suppose nice enough in terms of the packaging. So that card would have obviously fitted in here. So, yeah, like so. Okay, that's a clever way of doing generic packaging and just adding a card. Okay. And we've, because this is a powered device, powered locomotive, it's got a set of instructions in here. Lubrication, you can see the chassis here. Some of you will probably recognize that type of chassis with the clips at the side. Body removal looks pretty straightforward. Alright, usual stuff in the back. Pop that safely in the box. Right, so let's have a look. Now, I don't profess to be an expert on steampunk. I'm actually quite surprised that it's got a little bit of weight to it. Yeah, it's much heavier than a Caledonian Pug. It's certainly it's certainly different. It's certainly different. Yeah, but the first thing that strikes you is it's got a bit of weight to this. Very interesting. So, I don't mind telling you, my idea was to just strip the chassis out of this. But the locomotive, the donor locomotive that arrived was broken. So I went and fixed all that. That's actually done. And I'll be putting a video out on that. I basically pimped the ride a little bit. So I'm back to square one with that project. So this is actually a surplus. Now, multiple choices I can do with this. Yeah, I mean, let's try it on the layout. What can go wrong? What could possibly go wrong? It's just certainly, I mean, I don't have any notes to refer to be an expert advising on steampunk, but it's basically, it's a retro themed sci-fi, almost using Victorian age as some of the design cues. That's probably not an accurate description, but that's for the little I know of it. And okay, let's get the maintenance crew at the TMD to transfer this to the track and we'll see what happens. Okay, so I did a spot of filming earlier with this Steampunk Locomotive, and you're not going to believe what I'm about to tell you, but this is the truth. So I had a Caledonian pug, not this one here, another one, which had a broken chimney, and I repaired it and fitted handrails and fixed a buffer on it as well. It was an upcoming video actually, and I had it just at the edge of the layout on the sort of south part of the layout. So this steampunk thing went round the track, and I heard it clicking or clipping something as it went along, doing its run around, and in its second lap it somehow managed to hit the repaired Caledonian pug and knocked it clean off the layout onto the deck, smashed its chimney again, and broke both its new handrails. Now, considering the Steampunk Locomotive was actually going to be stripped, and I was going to put the motor into the Cali unit, It's quite ironic. You couldn't make it up, could you? You could not make it up. Imagine. Oh, I don't know. Sometimes you set out to, to make a video, and you know exactly what the format and things are going to be, and then something happens, and you think, what the hell, Anyway, I'll tell you what, I'm not known for my patience, but I had to be super patient there. Okay, right, that threw the script out the window. Right, so, right, back to the steampunk thing. Okay, so, yeah, the first thing that strikes me is the motor is quite well geared compared to a normal Caledonian Pug or a Smoky Joe. And I thought maybe I'm just imagining that. But I've done a couple of tests offline, and no, I'm right in what I'm seeing here. This steampunk thing, I don't know if it's got a better quality motor in it or the gearing's slightly different. If I had to guess, I think it's a motor. The old Caledonian Pugs and Smoky Joe, I'm sure many of you have them. When you put power in them, they just kind of take off. And they've got like one speed. It's like fast or off. It's almost like that. I mean, I'm generalizing, but you know what I mean. This steampunk thing isn't like that. I'm going to give you a bit of an example. I've got it on half power, and I'm going to bring it up to 50%. She'll take off, and I'll hold it around 50% speed and see if you can observe what I'm seeing. Right, so that's exactly on 50%. Now for me, I've never seen a Cali Pug go that slow. Never. You can tell by the time it's taken to go around. Right, here it is, coming at the shot. That's like really slow and controlled. It's not my imagination. That's definitely a better quality motor than you get in the Pugs. I'm sure it's still probably still a 3-pole motor, but that's a big improvement. And I've watched some other reviews of these real odd steampunk locomotives, just out of curiosity really, but nobody ever talked about the speed side of it, so I'm really surprised at that. Did they miss that, or is it just that they've changed the motors in the last batch? I don't know, it's an odd one. Let me bring it to stop. Okay, let's see what thing it can do a crawl, just out of interest. So again, it's on half power. Okay, reverse. No, not really. Yeah, 4% and it takes off. The motor is very similar to the Rushton Hornsby that I reviewed recently. The characteristics are very, very similar. Okay, let's turn this around. There we go. Now, let's just back it up a bit. We'll go at 50%. You might be able to get a better look at it this time as it comes around the track. Let me just turn the camera ever so slightly. Right, so this is half power, 50%. Check this out. That's much slower. That's much slower. So here's the thing, right? Let me bring it around. I'll tell you what my idea is going to be with this thing. Yeah, so this is the odd collectible. I would class this as. And let me try and explain why. For those of you of a certain age that remember Action Man, which was like G.I. Joe in Britain. Action Man was the toy during, I suppose, the 1970s for boys, I suppose. And girls. Girls may have had them as well, but mostly boys. And, you know, these Action Men, you had them in all different types of variants. And there was one of the Action Men was an Action Man of colour, ethnic chap, and I didn't have one. My brother didn't have one. In fact, nobody I knew had one. But yet that became one of the rarest Action Men to get. Very, very expensive to buy, I guess, now in the second-hand market. And why was that? Well, it's based on supply and demand. Not many people had bought that Action Man, and there weren't many in circulation. And the ones that were in circulation might not have still had its box, its original packaging, and therefore the cost of it becomes very, very high. This unit here, I've just done, I mean, I bought it for £12 something. I mean, Hornby were obviously desperate to clear these things. And I picked it up because I thought, well, the motor is worth £12.99 or £15 or thereabout. So you're getting a complete locomotive for the price of a chassis, essentially. But guess what? They're sold out now. You can't buy them. Now, I see if I'm right. I mean, I'm going to make a prediction here. This has become an instant collectible. As odd as it is, and I'm sure some people will say as horrible as it is, disgusting looking as it is, it is certainly a very odd looking locomotive. But I really think this is going to be a collectible. Correct, you know, in 20 years time, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm telling you now, they're sold out, and this is where it all begins, when you can't get these things anymore. And there'll be somebody out there that's got, I think there was like 4 different variations of these old photos, all equally terrible in their own little way, but maybe lovable as well. But so there'll be somebody out there who doesn't have this version, and he needs it to complete his quartet, and you know, he might become desperate to get these. I mean, Hornby were shoved the prices up to £43 something, and I noticed on their website it's sold out, but it's went back to that £43 something. But it's still an interesting locomotive. Now, here's my little 2p worth on why I think this didn't work. You know, I read up a little bit on this steampunk thing and what it's about, and this retro sci-fi Victorian twist type thing. And you know, I get it, but why didn't it work as a consumable toy collectible thing? Well, in my honest, humble opinion, I think it's because they didn't give enough associated products with it. Like if they had a steampunk, I mean, I know they did some buildings, but they weren't done very well. They were just some of the existing range with a few cogs glued on. But if they had really made like a Victorian station and, I don't know, really put their design team into it with their thinking caps and done enough stuff that you could actually build a complete layout and actually created figures and, you know, automobiles and a complete thing, this could have been a new arm of business for Hornby. But they just didn't go far enough. They didn't go far enough. And that's just my honest opinion. I know a lot of, well, I'm not an expert on steampunk, far from it. I know really literally nothing, but I think a lot of it is to do with, it's almost like model making a contraption by bolting on parts to it. And that's part of the fun. But yeah, they could have went further to make this work, and they just didn't do that. So yeah, mark my words, this is going to be a rare collectible, and what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to put it carefully back in its box and put it in my store as a time capsule. And I mean, some of you are sitting out there going, you must be crazy. But I honestly think this will become a collectible, as odd as it is. And only time will tell, you know. But that's my 2p worth anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm not going to do a review on it. I don't think it really merits a review. It's a unique thing which shouldn't really be compared against anything else. And I'm just going to say this will be a collectible, and we'll leave it at that. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you next time.